Christian counselors around the country are worried about anger in America, and we're going to dig in a little more deeply to that. But first, we here on this show, we care about and advocate for professional counseling on a regular basis. Why do we do that? Like I say it sometimes, but why do you guys care about it? I'm not speaking for you.
I think it's good to work through those issues you have on your heart and your mind that you kind of ruminate on, ways that you grew up or ways that you've fallen into that are not healthy for you or for your family.
Yeah, we all need help with things. And I think it is our duty as Christ followers to get help working through certain issues in our lives so that we can better reflect him.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent you're comfortable, would either of you be able to share why you chose to go at some point? No pressure. You can say no, pass.
Yeah, I think I've shared here before. When my firstborn, he's 4 now, was probably 15 to 18 months old, I was just finding myself really angry, just really ragey. I had a lot of rage, and I didn't have the skills to cope with it properly, and I was coping with it inappropriately, and I needed help.
Good for you. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, anxiety runs my family. So this is just kind of something modeled for me. Like, we as a family need help dealing with this, and this is kind of what we do.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And it's important for people to talk about family history and that. It's super important because we have anxiety in my family history as well. Now, somebody who might be Ron's age and older, psychology for many, many years was like weird. It was Freud wanting you to somehow love your mother awkwardly.
Yes, or lay on a couch and regress back to your actual being birthed and let out a primal scream.
Right. Well, and then I remember even an era too where there was this whole repressed memory trend where a lot of people were compelled by counselors into remembering things that never actually happened.
Yeah.
And it destroyed families.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you say to a person who is skeptical of modern psychology and that keeps them from counseling?
I understand why they feel nervous. It's somewhat feels new. It's not new, but it feels new, and it's progressing because you find out more research and new psychologists learn new things. But I think I would encourage someone who thinks that they need help processing to try it out. You don't have to stay there forever.
Yeah, you're not committing to anything. If you don't like it, you don't have to go back. I would encourage you to maybe try a couple different counselors. It has taken me a long time to find one that I clicked with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's super important. You're not stuck with the first one. And if they're professional, they understand it may not work out.
Like, I've had multiple tell me from the outset, if you don't like this, it won't hurt my feelings, because you're not going to be a match with everyone you go to.
Yeah.
That's right. And I will say modern psychology in the last 15 to 20 years has changed dramatically, and it's shifted towards evidence-based psychology. But it's no longer let out your, what did you call it?
Primal scream.
From birth.
Yes.
Or and Freud no longer runs the day blaming your mom
He
for
does
everything and wanting you to love her awkwardly like Oedipus or whatever. But what it is now is it's literally based on scientific research and evidence. And a good counselor is going to be evidence-based in some way, where they're going to use techniques with you and advice for you that is based in modern psychological evidence-based reality.
Yeah, and sometimes they're really just helping you find the conclusion yourself. It just is kind of getting the words and thoughts outside of your own head to somebody else to help you get there.
Yeah, and with that in mind, Christianity Today did a survey of a bunch of Christian counselors and did some interviews, and they are like across the board worried about anger. And I mean, statistics indicate it's a problem. Road rage shootings. When I first saw this, I thought it was just road rage.
No.
But road rage shootings in the last 10 years, up 400%.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, somebody who's not just raging, so mad they're going to start shooting.
Yeah.
Up 400% in the last 10 years. I saw that. I was like, that's all I need to see. We got an anger problem. But there's more than that. Talk to any flight attendant or someone in the service industry and just people. I mean, there's signs up now. Like, you have to be nice to us. I went to the doctor's office the other day with one of my kids, and there was a sign up on the door. I was like, how sad is this? It's like, you cannot verbally abuse our staff.
When I worked in retail, there were one particular that comes to mind, but it happened a few times where myself and a couple other cashiers were like genuinely afraid for our safety because we told this person something they didn't want to hear. Like, no, it was, no, we're not going to mark this tree off because a branch is broken. And he got belligerent. It's scary.
And now Lauren saying she went because she recognized anger in herself is not common. Counselors do not see people coming in and going, I'm angry all the time. I don't know what to do about it. Because part of it, that's the temperature of culture right now. People don't believe this, but cable news and a lot of websites that carry news, the only way they're going to get you there is to scare you or make you angry.
Right.
And they need to make money. How they make money? You need to watch it or read it. And them telling you it's not so bad will cause you to leave and go find the bloodbath somewhere else. Christianity Today surveyed a whole bunch of Christian counselors across the country, and they all are very concerned about anger in our culture today. Now, we've all seen, cable news is just a bunch of people yelling at each other.
Yeah.
I feel like years ago, it wasn't always that way.
No, not always. There was a point where Fox News had Alan Colmes and Sean Hannity
I was
together,
just thinking about that.
a liberal and a conservative. So
And they
could,
didn't yell at each other?
No.
a little bit, but not too much.
They would share differing perspectives.
Yeah.
So they just got rid of Alan Colmes, and now just, just about yelling and being mad.
And they would get the 4-panel discussion group where you couldn't understand, the first person would start an answer, and from then it was just chaos.
And they're just talking over each other. Everyone's just talking.
Yes. And I don't get that. I would, if I were the producer, I would be muting those people. And if they just kept talking, black out their screen, be like, okay, we're trying to get information here. But that's me.
Well, we saw it leak into presidential debates, right? Where now they have to turn off the other person's microphone.
Yes, because it started, I believe, some guy yelling, I am outraged. At, another guy making his comparison to John F. Kennedy or something. And
before they could, take turns.
yeah. And
But not anymore.
if you didn't like what the guy said, use part of your 2 minutes to give a rebuttal to him.
And then now my other favorite in presidential debates, tied to anger, of course, is candidate A, tell us about your position on this. And their answer is, that guy over there, total idiot. I'm not going to answer your question at all. I'm just going to tell you how dumb they are. Unbelievable stuff. Now, somebody might be like, yeah, you're right. America really is mad. Are Christians angry?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You said that very fast. So how are we seeing Christians angry? What are they?
I mean, I'm in charge of monitoring our YouTube comments and our Facebook comments. And if we say something that's controversial or people don't like, even though like our position is very clear, like we are Christians, we just like to have discussions, people get really mad at us and they get mad at each other in the comments.
Wow. Where else are you guys seeing it?
When something that we perceive as our right is taken away or restricted in some regard, people, not being allowed to have more than a certain number of people in your church service because there was a worldwide pandemic going on with a bug that we didn't know how it would affect people. So then, they tried to extrapolate out, well, if you're singing, you're projecting more air forward, so you probably should be every other pew and only sit in family units and some of that stuff. They didn't know. They were doing the best they could, but yet Christians came out like, okay, this is the Antichrist. Where is the beast who's been shot in the head and come back to life? They're
The two
trying
witnesses and the,
yeah. And it was just a government stumbling through trying to keep the population safe.
Yeah, and I think the idea of righteous anger is abused. Here's what I mean, and I've done this myself. It's something makes me upset. I'm a Christian, therefore I'm just going to call it righteous anger so I can keep being mad. I think Christians do it all the time. We don't bother
Oh,
to
yeah.
figure out what righteous anger really is and how it plays itself out, what it feels like and looks like. We just go, Jesus flipped tables. I'm going to flip them too. Here's a whip. Get him. Tell me where I'm wrong.
I think we talked about this just a couple weeks ago. Righteous anger is not getting mad at an offense to you. It's getting mad at an offense to God. And not just like, we talked earlier, God cannot be offended. But when Jesus got mad in the Bible, it was usually a result of sin.
And he was usually the only one angry, is what we learned.
Yeah, and I saw somebody write about this where after Jesus flipped over tables, the lame and the sick came right up to him and asked to be healed. So they felt safe around his anger.
It wasn't scary.
It wasn't scary at all. Although it sounded scary. It clearly wasn't. Now, some psychologists in this Christianity Today piece call anger a smoke detector. Like it's sounding an alarm that something is
Something
wrong.
else is going on.
Yeah, but anger is not necessarily why somebody would go to a counselor, but they should view it as a warning sign. And you did.
I did, yeah.
Why are you the exception in this? Like, what is it, do you think, that caused you to go, something's not right here? Because you could have said, I should be angry. I have a 15-month-old. I'm not sleeping.
I wasn't sleeping. It's the age where a child knows what they want and they really want it, but they don't know how to communicate yet. And so it's just a lack of communication, miscommunication between the parents and the child. I'm not really much of an angry person. I'm also not a person who really is riled up that easily, like jarred that easily. And it was like the second something happened, I was angry and just kind of like flew off the handle. And it was just like, this is not who I am. This is not my personality. Something is not right here. Is it something like a postpartum anxiety? Is it postpartum rage? Like, is there something like hormonally that's like, I need to get fixed here, or I need to find some tools because I'm not being a good mom and I'm not being a good wife when I'm so angry all the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you being willing to share that. And it's so good. And I hope it connects to somebody listening right now. Because as Christianity Today indicated, anger in personal relationships is often someone not knowing how to communicate the feelings they're having. Feelings like fear, uncertainty, a sense of injustice, not being understood or respected. Those can bubble out as anger.
Yeah, anger is a secondary emotion, and it's usually a defense mechanism for the stuff underneath that you don't want to share or don't know how to share.
And to make it more complicated, psychologists are bringing up something called, I never heard of this, parasocial relationships. You're familiar with this.
Yeah. You think you have a relationship with someone on the internet, you feel like you know them, but you don't actually know them.
Yes. I hadn't heard about that. I felt it, right? Where your favorite, I don't know, YouTube star or whatever, or your favorite podcaster, they get in trouble, they get canceled, and you just get upset, you get angry when you don't know them.
Even a celebrity.
Even a celebrity.
It doesn't have to be like a influencer, but it's a celebrity. You see them on the internet. You don't actually know them.
Or a well-known pastor even.
And those parasocial relationships, it could be politicians as well. And this day and age, I think it's particularly politicians. Suddenly, you can get angry because of something that happens to them, and you have not, nor will you ever, meet them. And I think this has got to be a modern phenomenon.
You don't know them personally.
Right.
You don't actually know who they are. You know what they've put themselves out there to be and what they've allowed you to see.
This has to be new, right?
Well, it's new.
Like a modern era.
It's new in so much of like the modern area where internet, yeah.
I think even with the advent of like the radio or the television, it used to be you would just read about these people in a newspaper, and the news would be like months late because it took time to get it delivered. But now it's instantaneous. You could hear them, you can see them, and I wonder if our brains are just not able to, process that divide.
Yeah, and these counselors were like, I wish somebody would come in and go, I think I need some help. I really have been having trouble with angry Facebook posts lately. Like I'm having trouble managing angry discussions on Facebook.
You need a lot more counselors.
Yeah, seriously.
Right? And one church's solution I thought was pretty creative, it was kind of like a 12-step program kind of thing, but it was it is peer-led support groups where people have a safe place outside of their family to go and process through what they're feeling and thinking.
Yeah.
They may not be at a clinical level, but they can go, man, I was like raging yesterday online and I'm so embarrassed. What was I doing?
Yeah.
And you can have other people give you solid feedback, biblically speaking. I loved that idea.
Yeah. A place you can be honest, but you have to be willing to be honest.
Right.
Christians have got to get off of the angry train.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to get sucked into it. Because I know people who have like cable news as background noise in their house.
I mean, anger is not a good depiction of our Lord.
No.
It wasn't his norm.
And for a lot of Christians, it's uncertainty. That's as they indicate in this piece, uncertainty is breeding anger.
Mm.
And we really have two choices with uncertainty. But at the end of the day, focusing on Christ should calm your uncertainty because he's providentially going to work things together for your good.
Yeah, we know the end of the story already.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he gave it to us early. Because these like in-between times, between when he's here and when, he makes a new heaven and new earth, it's the scary, tumultuous times. We know that it's going to be like that. So that's why he already told us the end, is so that we don't have to worry. We don't have to feel uncertain. We can always say, but I know what's coming.
We can feel sad about society going down the tubes, but we don't have to be angry about it.
Yep.
But I think a lot of us are just angry about it.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to get help. Christians, we cannot be known for our anger, and I think we are.
I think so too.
So consider talking to a counselor, a pastor, a friend. If you're finding yourself angry, it's time to get help. I didn't bring this up before. I've brought it up on the show before, but I had this anger issue too I had to get dealt with. And it was one night I really knew it was a problem. I had made dinner for the kids. Sarah was at work. She was just new working. And so that was already throwing me off.
Yeah.
And the kids were whining and crying and doing something. And I got mad. I thought I could express my anger by just chucking a fork.
Oh.
Which is a bad idea. I was alone in the kitchen. I was just like, wow, let's just go in the sink, make a loud noise. Nope. Hit the glass salt shaker, which shattered glass and salt all over dinner.
Mm.
Oh, no.
I had to throw dinner in the garbage. I knew I had an issue to deal with.
Yeah.
I should have known a lot sooner. Get help, Christian. We can't let ourselves walk around angry all the time.